Have you ever wondered why your child can't focus anymore? Why your child can't play, be present, and rest anymore? Let me tell you this. This isn't about shame. This is about awareness. Because I believe our kids' joy, creativity, and their childhood need to be protected. And the world is changing so fast, and the science is just catching on. So I'm Kathleen, a mama, first of all, a mama, a coach, and someone who loves to learn and dig into the science and into the research to find out what is truly going on, mostly actually in our brain. I love our brain. And we're living in a world full of digital distraction, and as you, I'm trying to figure out how this works, how this impacts it, and how it can be used for our advantage. And today I want to talk about screen time and how it impacts our children's brain, their nervous system, and most of all, their ability to connect with us and, of course, themselves. As you see, I'm sliding. I'm having notes today because I feel this is so important. I don't want to miss anything, so I'm going to check my notes. So let's start and break down brain, screens. What is the connection actually? So what we found out, research is showing that screens light up the brain's dopamine system. And the dopamine system is kind of, how shall I explain? The dog and the reward. So the dog learns, when it pushes with a paw, a button, there's food coming. That's a dopamine hit. So you kind of release some happy, exciting, very short-term happiness hormones, the dopamine. And it's like sugar, actually. The same, if you eat sugar, your body goes like, yeah, boo, fantastic. And it's addictive. And we know screen have exactly the same. It's like giving your child sugar. And I think I even heard in one research that screens and the impact on the brain is as strong as, what was it, heroin? Or it was one of these drugs. And I was like, wow. So we could, taking everything else away, just looking at the pure brain, it's the same giving your child a lot of screen time and giving your child heroin. That was shocking for me. I was like, oops, that isn't nice. Because yes, it's this high addictive substance. And it does this whole dopamine. You always just want more of it. You just can't break it anymore. And that is a big concern. It's something we have to talk and think about. And also, when you talk screen and maybe you're on YouTube, that fast-paced content trains the brain to expect constant stimulus, which then also means, of course, if you want to take a break and do nothing, you go like, no. You start like literally shivering, being nervous, like, where is the hit? Where is it coming from? I need more dopamine. I want a drug. So when your child sits down to color, to build, or just to be, it suddenly feels boring and agitating, because if you just sit down and color, there is no dopamine in it. It doesn't give you the same trip. Am I allowed to use this word? I'm using it here, okay? And don't get me wrong, screens will stay, and it's more about how do we do the best of both worlds, how do we integrate it, and being aware of what it does to our brain so we understand and actually can take the best actions. And they look different for each family. So I'm really not here to judge, but I am here in this video to educate. So studies really show that screen exposure, 2 hours plus, and now we're talking kids over 5 or 6 years, is linked to low scores and memory. There is no more problem solving, and there's no emotional regulation, because you literally, in a way, numb your brain. So I think, yes, while I know it can be so tempting sometimes for the short term, when we need a break to just put our kids in front of a screen, we have to be aware that long term, it has a big impact into the brain, and addictions are hard to break, any addictions. So yeah, what does this then mean for our kids? They start to forget how to play, create, move, and imagine. And I have seen it in my home. When one of my kids brings friends over, I can literally within the first 20-30 minutes say which of these kids has a lot of screen time and which has limited screen. And what I notice, the ones where I know that in their homes is a lot of screens, they come and what shall we do? What can we do? They need to be told, and saying to them, here's a box of Lego, just play, won't work. It just, I don't know. It's really difficult, because I feel with these kids, I need to be as a parent engaged and play with them and tell them what to do. While kids where I know there's no screens at home or not much of it, or just here and there, like I said, it's not black or white. We're talking mostly about, the research and what it does. I can give them a Lego box and they can play for hours and you don't hear them. And if they're in their room, you don't see them. So I can notice the difference, and the research just confirms it. And let's go even younger. Let's talk about babies. Babies need eye contact for safety. So when we as parents look constantly at our phones, or the child cries and the child sees we're being on the phone instead of responding to our kids, then they don't feel safe. And in general, kids under the age of 3, they don't need screens. So if your child is 2 and whines because it wants to see screen, then it's most likely that it has been trained to be interested in that. And I can really stand here as a mom. I have 3 kids. And in my house, below 3, there is no screen time. My kids have also 0 interest in screens. I noticed that happens around 3, depending on the child, maybe a bit earlier or somewhere a bit later. With 3 came a bit of the interest. And the funny part is the interest with 3, like my youngest is now 3, and the interest is to see pictures of itself. It's not about going online watching movies, it's about watching actually the videos I make of them or whatever. So I think this idea, like if you're in an airplane, I have seen it a lot, and you give a baby, a 6 months old, a screen to keep it distracted and quiet, like it shouldn't really work, and per se it doesn't. The child would rather need to have that connection to the parent. So I think this can be very, very scary, because these kids then don't develop the safety and security they need. And we need to remember that feeling how safe and secure you are in the world, how much you can, will overcome challenges, 80% of that is in the fundament of the first 3 years. Yes, we have no memories of the first 3 years, yet how safe we feel in this world is 80% the first 3 years. So this is a very, very crucial time to build this safety and security network. And okay, now we're drifting a little bit off, but many of the diagnoses we see today with kids, like I'm just giving one about ADHD, a very common one. It is now the last research showing and linked that it is somewhere correlated. I'm not saying it's all reason, but somewhere they see a correlation in the studies that this is linked to actually a child having a trauma or not having felt safe and secure in the first 3 years. And yeah, let's just take a break here, take a deep breath and think about it. It's just information. It's nothing else. So yes, kids begin turning to screens, not us, for comfort, validation, and stimulation. And is that something we want to have, where actually we as human beings can't fulfill that need in the child anymore? And often this comes with emotional and physical consequences. So kids show less empathy, depending, of course, also what they watch. They are actually getting used to much more, violent stuff. They delay social skills. They have a poor posture. It impacts their sleep. I'm a big one on sleep. And of course, there are more emotional outbursts, low frustration tolerances, and a lot of that. And I just want to share this. My oldest child is in school, and we had this parent meeting, and I spoke with the teacher afterwards. And it's a small Montessori school, and I think parents are much more aware. But even there, I was shocked that in this parent meeting, how much they talked about screen time. And one of the things that really I find it sad, is when the teacher said, we're going to show you now clips of TV shows and games that your kids are playing at home and they talk a lot about school, and we as teachers believe they're harmful. And then they showed these clips, and you could notice that many parents who thought, they're all like, oh, but we control the apps our kids is using and we control the games, that yeah, you need to actually spend time to sit down and then figure out what this truly is. And if you give a 7-8-year-old child something that's for 16 plus, 18 plus, yeah, I find this, like, I was sad. I was sad to hear, see, and also see the reactions of the parents of this non-awareness about it. And in which place are we living where now teachers have to come and say, look what your kids actually consuming, and we can see in the school the harm it does. So, but that's the science, that's the research, that's a bit the facts with a few examples. What can we do? Like I said, I'm not all for in and out. My husband works in IT and it will stay. So we need to really learn. But it is about reclaiming our presence. There's one thing that I'm actually working with at home is we try to move from using our screens, like my kids share an iPad, to use it from going as a toy where they play games and stuff. I said you can actually use it when you use it as a tool. I have no problems. You can use it all day long if you want, which they will never do. If you look up recipes for cooking, like my kids have to join and plan meals, look up recipes. You can use it for learning. There are a few things I want my kids to learn to teach. We can use the screens for that. It can be an absolutely amazing resource without any question. But I want you to understand that as long as you use the screen as a tool, it will enable you and it will enhance your life. If you use it as a toy, playing games, watching videos, then you're kind of starting to escape the world. I always call it you numb yourself out. You get addicted and then it rules your life. Then it doesn't enhance your life and then it rules your life. So I want you to understand. And it's not black and white neither. It's like, no, now it's only a tool and you're not allowed to play. Yes, but you have to learn to regulate your play. So we, for example, have chosen no TV. So there's nothing big on the wall that makes it easy to put on. There's always hassle. We have lots of screen-free rooms, like there's no screen when we eat. Bedrooms, no screens. We have for me, it's crucial that at least one day a week is absolute screen-free. For us, this is actually during the week, we don't use screens except for exceptions and maybe more in the winter. But and also we have a share spot where all the devices end up at night, where they can be charged, where we can store them. So there is one place where this is, and it's not in the kids' room. So kids know also if they have used the screen in their rooms, it needs to get out. I don't want it where we sleep for many other reasons than just the addiction. There is radiation coming and all of these things. When my kids come and want to use the screen, it's actually when they're most of the time bored or they don't feel so well. And that's the moment for me to anyway say, no, there is no screen right now because you're coming from a place where you kind of, yes, numb yourself out. I want you to experience that uncomfortable feeling, that boredom, and it normally leads to creativity. It leads to completely new play where they can be engaged in for hours after. And of course, be mindful where you are and take photos, you film, and how your behavior is, because of course your kids watch you and it's all about role modeling. And also model being present, just literally be present. You don't need to feel every second looking at your phone. I think this is very, very difficult. It's so easy to get distracted. I know when a message comes in, the expectations from people are that you answer within minutes and stuff like that. So it has its challenges. And I feel somehow we're just at the beginning of the journey. So we'll see where we end up. We see how much things will normalize itself and what the real impact will be on society. I think there's so many changes happening right now. Like here, I live in Norway, it's discussed. And I think it shall be ruled in October if like social media is not for kids under 15 anymore. So I think there's so much changing anyway, but being aware of where we stand is always a good thing. But this isn't easy, and you're not doing it wrong. We're kind of all in the same boat, not knowing, using our kids to some extent still as an experiment. Side note on this, in Sweden and Denmark, they actually the government issued an apology, taking out iPads from the schools again, particularly in the younger grades, and saying we're sorry that we did something, we didn't know what we did, and we didn't know what we were doing, and we used the classroom as an experiment. So I think, yeah, a lot of things is changing. We're just waking up in a culture that asks us to disconnect, and it might mean we're choosing something different. So if this resonates, share it, like it, subscribe to it, and I'll talk to you next time. And as always, from one wildly rooted mama to another, let's keep growing and glowing together.